Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Monique, and I'm the Marketing Coordinator at SBS Corporation. It is my pleasure today to welcome you to our webinar on Bellini's new releases. I'm pleased to be joined by our Antons and Bellini National Sales Manager, Stefano Maffei, who has over 25 years' experience in the design and manufacture of picture frame molding. Stefano offers a unique global perspective on the design trends of picture frame molding across Europe, North America, and Australia. Today, Stefano will be presenting the Bellini 2018 Spring Collection, named Rosa, while also touching on this season's must-haves. Before we begin today, I'd like to make you all aware that the webinar is in listen-only mode. We'll be recording the webinar today, and this will be emailed to all the attendees over the next week. Stefano's presentation will run for approximately 30 or so minutes. There will also be a 15-minute Q&A session at the very end. If you have any questions, please type them into the question box and hit send at any point during the webinar. Questions will be addressed at the very end of the presentation by our team. Without further ado, I would now like to hand it over to Stefano.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for attending this. I think it's our third or fourth webinar that we do, the third one. Okay, I know we have a big group of attendees. Thank you for that. And today we're going to be presenting what is the latest release that we have done in Bellini. This range is very important for me for different aspects of the range. The name itself is dedicated to a person that was a very important person in my life and in the life of a lot of people here in the Bellini family. Also because the inspiration, the design, and all the elements that we have used to create this range was a big job. As you all know, we haven't got any release in Bellini in the last 12 months because we were studying this new release just to get it right. This release called Rosa, it's a release that is inspired of the best design years ever. It's called the Gold Decade. That goes the gold 3 decades that goes from 1960s, 70s, 80s. During this year, all the best designers in the world, they have created what are the most iconic pieces that you can see in the screen now ever. I'm talking about the designers Le Corbusier, Eames Bros, Charlotte Pernon, and Jacobsen. It's the Danish designer that have created the most famous chair in the world, the red one that you can see in the screenshot that is going through your video. It's that rounded shape chair that is, I think everyone, when they look at it, they can recognize it. We have done this range called Rosa because our range in Bellini was a range that is either or too contemporary or too traditional, and now we have an element of transition in between. And the design of the shape of the molding, it's inspired to those beautiful design that you have just seen on your screenshot. It's rounded. There are no sharp edge, and what makes it all these little curves and concave elements, they create a lot of nice shadows when you frame your artwork with this Bellini range. The Rosa collection is made of 9 different items, 3, a gold, a champagne silver, and a black in the bigger range, in the big profile, medium profile, and a smaller profile. This molding, naturally, it's made in Italy, 100%, was designed by us in cooperation with our supplier in Italy. There were a lot of samples going back and forward, a lot of my trips overseas to make sure that we got this right. If you can see this range also the color of the range are different of what we have in Bellini at the moment. The gold is got a little bit more of yellowish element that was very popular in the 70s. The silver, if you can compare this silver with the silver next to it, is a lot more of that champagne look that gives not, I will not say antique feeling, but that vintage, that old look to the range. And then we have a beautiful matte black that is my favorite finish. This matte black with some red coming through on the edges. The contrast between the matte of the black, the shines of the red coming through, creates all the elements to make this range unique. Obviously, this range is completely finished by hand. I would like to take you to the process of the end finishing in this molding. Think about that, especially for the gold and silver finish. We have here probably around 15, 16 end passages. Think that the color of the gold leaf or the silver leaf, sorry, is this one. So we start from this tone, that is the pure tone of the two leaves, and we get to this one. So you can already identify how many passages by hand they are needed to have this special color and this special effect. This range, what I like of the range is that is a range that is very, very easy to use. We will go through some stacking idea. I will show you some framing pieces that we have done here in our showroom, and also it's a range that, as I said, match perfectly what are the trends and the design now in the Australian market, the New Zealand market, and also what is happening all over the world. Everywhere, we know that the 70s look now is the predominant element that we have in all the trendy furniture store, the high-end one. What we've done in Bellini here, when we have created this range, obviously the attention to the details, having the right aging of the molding, having the right color, this was done in order to create what is that luxury effect that can identify the product compared to the other molding that we have in our market, basically. I will take you through some before looking at some designing option and some ideas that we can that can inspire you. I would like to take you to some technical feature of the product. I have here two moldings, and I want to talk about the timber. That is one important thing of the Bellini product. We all say that all moldings are made, the majority of moldings are made in finger joint pine. There are different quality of finger joint pine, and I will show you immediately what I'm talking about. I got in my hand, this is the Bellini Rosa, and this is another standard molding that we have. They are both made on pine. As you can see, the fiber of the pine of the Bellini molding is a lot more thinner. The fiber of the other molding is a lot wider, and these darker parts, these dark lines, are the lines that are the hardest part of the timber. Are those lines that they create traction in the timber and makes the timber warp, makes the timber twist. This one doesn't have it because the Italian pine are younger, timber. This is the other one is probably New Zealand or South American pine. This is Italian pine. You can tell the difference. This doesn't have those very dark lines, very wide and very hard, that can create problem even when you join the molding. With your vinyl, if you staple the molding and gets this dark line, the vinyl will follow the line because the line is very hard. Doesn't happen in Bellini. You don't have it this. The weight, even if this is a molding that is a lot smaller than this, weighs almost the same. And that's another key feature of the product. So in few words, what that means is that the Bellini molding, it's lighter, it's got a better stability than this one, and doesn't give you problem when you cut a joint the frame. Especially with this range, we know that with Bellini, in the time we have played with very, very different shapes. A lot of them, they have a curvy back that is hard to join and hard to cut. Obviously, with the Rosa range, this doesn't happen. It's a perfect straight edge. And then look at how nice it is. There are no edges in this profile. It's all one curve from the back, top, and then goes inside and then goes up again. So it's a very different, it's a beautiful, it's sexy when you see it. It's feminine. It doesn't doesn't deliver that strong message like the molding with the sharp edges and very, very strong. Another thing that I want to discuss about Bellini is that also makes a point of difference when you frame something for Bellini. You know that you can have the K-joint system from us. K-joint system is this. What we do, we give you a service that we make with the router. We make this butterfly hole in the back of the molding. The molding comes in two pieces. Then you have this plastic pin. And for you don't need any machine to assemble the Bellini molding. You just put a little bit of glue like you normally do when you make a corner. The pin inside, close it. You just hammer this one a little bit in just to make sure that it's, that it's leveled, and you got your corner. Perfectly done. You can adjust the joining with your hand, and you make sure that you have always a perfect corner with a K-joint system. That also is a key thing to show to your customer that is they're buying something different. That's what makes the price different than any other range that we have in our collection. Bellini's made a lot of little details that they make the difference between the rest of the molding available in the Australian market and the Bellini molding. I got, for all the people that I got registered for the webinar, I got a lot of inquiry regarding what we can do as a stacking combination. This range here, the new release, the Rosa, it's also made in a way that you can literally stack together the all three profile and have a beautiful Art Deco moldings. It looks like one molding only. They join together perfectly. You can have the three of them. You can have two of them. I'm not really good with the camera, but this can tell you how nice they stack together. So you can create a molding that is wide that much. Obviously, when we stack molding together, it's about what to select, depending also on the artwork that we have to frame. If you want to do a beautiful mirror, I can show you something that I really like. I'm really passionate about the water gilt, and this water gilt, like this beautiful boxy molding, the water gilt with the real silver in the front and the beautiful matte black finish on the edge, stacks very well with the black rosa, the large one. Look how beautiful is this combination. Elegant. Perfectly. It's perfectly flush on the bottom. Both easy to cut and to join, and you have a beautiful result. This is a great combination. If you don't want to go that big, we have for both of the molding, we have the smaller version. And you can do the same with the two smaller ones and have the same look. We can also use the little one as an inner frame, and I'll show you some other very lovely combination. I got here a Tuscan timber look that is always a part of our Bellini range, and I'm using the little rosa as an inner. Again, simple, elegant. We don't have to add words. We don't have to add comments. It just works. There are even other elements that I can show you if we want to create a little bit of if we want to move a little bit and create a little bit of ornate details to the frame. We can do something like this. Or anything that your design eyes or design elements can suggest you to do. As I said, giving you idea for the stacking combination, I can talk for hours and I can pick a lot of moldings that are across the whole Bellini range that I have at my back. It's more about having something that will suit the artworks. This time in our Bellini launch, we also for the first time we have framed two artworks. I picked some molding of the Rosa range, and I choose two very different looking artwork. One, if you follow me, one is a beautiful limited edition from one of my favorite artists, that is Luca Bellani. I've used the champagne color of the Rosa range because I don't know if you can see in the on your computer, is exactly the same champagne tone of these spots here in the artwork. I haven't used any glass, and I've used a little Bellini black with the silver pearl as an inner frame. I think the result is really, really beautiful. And this is one of the pieces that if you want to display the new range in your shop, you can ask to your account manager and they can give you the cost for the whole piece framed, and you can have it at a very special price that and you can display in your own shop. Another piece that I framed, this is an open edition. It's there's a little bit of reflection, but it's okay. This is the idea. This is a movie, one of the most famous movie with Natalie Wood and Steve McQueen, is a vintage poster. This is also available as a display pieces. A display piece is not a limited edition. This is an open edition. It's got glass. It's got a beautiful gold water gilt frame in it. It's an inner frame, and then the black rosa. As you can see here, the red of the new rosa range picks the red of the artwork. The gold picks the goldish element in the picture, and goes very well together. It's an exclusive way of framing a vintage poster. It's usually when you go to shops, when you go to do shopping around, you see always that these posters are framed with a flat black molding the majority of the time. We are showing that it's not the only option available in the market if you want to make a point of difference. Also, this one is available as a display piece, and you can ask to your account manager for the special offer that we have on this particular piece. As I said, this range, Damien, can you please? Let's try to have them both. Okay, stop here. Another thing that I want to show you is that for all the Bellini customer, when you log in our website, we have the video of Bellini, how the moldings are made. That is this video that I have always on loop on this beautiful mirror in our showroom. Every customer that comes here, it's impressed about watching the video, understanding the product, watching the old display of the old Bellini range that we have on the wall. And when they bring some, of course, you're most welcome to visit all our showroom in Victoria, Queensland, Western Australia, and Tasmania. Anytime they are open for you, you can bring your customer in, use our showroom as an extension of your display that you have on the wall if you want to show them the old Bellini range. And this is one of the key point of sale. When the customer can see something framed in Bellini, can see the way it's done, can appreciate the difference of the majesty of the display compared to the other display that we have on the other side of our showroom with the Anton's molding, they can understand the difference. There is really nothing that you need to add to deliver the sale. They can already see what is the difference. It's about delivering the message right and creating that little bit of special element to the presentation that you do, to the consultation that you do. Of course, as I said, timber, finishing processes, sustainability of the product. Bellini, again, we always talk in the market about conservation framing. We try to upsell to our customer every day using a better glass, using a better mat board, a better foam board to preserve their memories, to preserve their artworks. Bellini, it's across the board, all the range. It's all made with natural components. There are no acid used in the paint. There are no solvent. There are no toxic element that can affect your artwork. So it's a product that is 100% suitable for the conservation framing. The timber doesn't have any chemical treatments. We can go back to our range. Sorry, right. So we can, as I was saying, there are a lot of elements that translate the quality of the product. I had a lot of comments recently about customers that complaining sometimes about the quality of the products. Most of the time, what was perceived as a defect of the molding was what makes the molding different. In the Bellini range, except for one collection, everything else is completely done by hand. We're talking about artisan, human skills. So the imperfection is like when you get a tailor suit. Tailor suit is never perfect compared to a suit that you buy off the shelf because it's done completely by hand, but it's more expensive. And that's what makes the flavor of the product. If there are spots darker in one side of the moldings, or a scratch a little bit more evident, it's because it's just a person. It's the human being that does the frame. That's what is the flavor of the molding. Have we got any question already?
Yes, Stefano, we have a few questions. So,
I spoke for half an hour already.
I've got a question asking here, when is the Rosa range available for sample and stock?
As per, I think, today, after the webinar.
Great. And there's also another question asking if we charge for Bellini samples.
Yeah, that's one of the points. That's a good question. In Bellini, what we do with the samples, we can customize your samples the size that you want. So are not the standard sample that we have stock like in the Andons range. Because the product is, also the cost of the product is reasonably high, coming from Italy, of course, what we charge for sample. The sample we charge basically half of the list price, so 50% discount of the list price of the molding, times the length that is needed for a sample. If you want a 250 by 350 chevron cut, it's a 600 mil of frame that we need. So you're going to be charged by 0.6 meter at 50% of the list price. Just about Bellini being a niche product, we don't have the volume that we have in the ranges like in Andons. Sometimes some of the product we buy in 100 meters at a time, 200 meters at a time, not 5,000, 3,000 like happens in the other side of the business. So also the investment for samples and becomes quite consistent for us. Yeah, that's the reason why. We give you all our support. Just think about it, that it takes one frame to get your return of investment in the sample for your range, even more.
I think that concludes our webinar this afternoon, Stefano.
No, any other question?
That's it today.
Okay, thank you.
Quiet audience. A quiet audience today.
Yeah, quiet audience. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us in the webinar today. Oh, we've got one more question. Sorry, come through. How much do you charge for a chop?
The chop, it's we have our list price for the chop. If I'm not mistaken, the chop it's 1.65 of the list price. So if we sell $100 a meter in the molding in lengths, it's $165 in chop per meter.
Okay. I guess if anyone has any further questions.
And then for the K-joint system, it's $15.95 for the old set of K-joint system for the four corners. When we do the K-joint system, one thing that I forgot to mention, every corner comes with a number. So it's easy to match number 1 and number 1. You put the two lengths together and you put the pin in it, and you can never get it wrong.
Are those K-joints available in New Zealand, Stefano, for our New Zealand customers?
Well, it depends. If we ship the chop from here, we can do it. If the chop is done through our distributor in New Zealand, no.
Okay. Are you able to show us the profile one more time?
Yeah, definitely. So going back to the range, we have a beautiful brochure that our marketing team put together with all the new release. So you have, it's beautifully done, each color in the 3 different profiles. Also, I would like to tell everyone that the price of the black one is cheaper than the other 2, because obviously there are 3 steps of the production less, because there is no silver leaf, there is no glue, and there is no treatment of the leaf. So only the finishing process is the same. As I said, the profile, let me get the black one, that is my favorite, is this one, big one, same one in a medium, and then we have the very tiny one that it's one of like a little jewel. When I don't know if it's, you can perceive the difference, the different depth and the different shades when I move the molding around in the video of your computer, but you can tell that here is a little bit more shiny, and then it comes in a very matte inside the lower part. So that's what gives the different. So this is the 3 of them. 1, 2, and 3.
What would you say our most popular molding is for Bellini?
Well, I'm sure this range will be one of the most popular, because it's, as I said, it's transitional. Can go very well in a contemporary environment, in a classic environment. Some of the ranges that are, if you follow with the camera, we can go to the most popular range that we have across the Bellini range. This is one of the ranges that is most successful in Bellini. B138, 136, B137. These are one of the most beautiful range. You can tell the profile, it's a very elegant profile, a little bit of design element here that creates a little bit of a break between the molding and the artwork that you're gonna frame, or the method that you're gonna use for the molding. Another great range that we sell every day in our Bellini collection, obviously, and I think this is the most popular across the board, is the olive veneer. This range here, olive veneer, natural veneer, overlapped by hand, finished by hand, beautiful waxy finish on top of it, very design element of the profile, beautiful gentle scoop with this the back that goes inside, so when you do the framing, this creates a little bit of a shade on the side. This is just amazing, just amazing. We sell this every day in Bellini.
Stefano, does the Rosa range have the wax finish like the water gilt?
So the wax finish, it's the wax is not a finish. When we put wax on the moldings, it's one of the, on the water gilt, the wax on the gold and the silver is the last passage to protect the leaf, because there is no aging on the water gilt. On the Rosa range, the wax that we use is a difference, because what the wax does here, we put the wax on the molding, and then we put the powder, the dust to make this aged look, and the wax, when it's still wet, incorporate the wax in it, and when it dries, you are not able to take the powder away, because it's incorporated in the wax. That, yes, to answer to your question, yes, we use the wax for both of them because it's a protection. It's a natural element that protects the leaf, can protect the finishing of the molding. But it's different than the use that we do. Like in the water gilt, that there is no patina. here, this is a real silver. The wax that we use is just to protect the silver, because it's the best natural protection. In fact, if you have some natural bee wax in your shops, you can always use a little bit of wax to clean the frames, to protect them. If you want to restore the frames that has been not cleaned well properly by one of your customers in the time, you can use the wax and it brings everything to life. Especially on the natural timber finish, when you do a framing, natural wax on it, let it dry, and then rub it off, and you got a natural protection and that natural feeling that is typical. When you have wax, you can feel that the molding is a little bit sticky, and that gives the natural element of the end finish product.
Now, when you're stacking the frames, how do you suggest to join them?
Well, it depends on the frame that you're using. Recently, you can use some bracket, some offset brackets. It depends on if the frames in the back they are flat, like this one. Like if we join this one and this one, and we create this, it's flat on the bottom. You can just use one flat bracket, screw it in, and doesn't give you any problem. But if the frame that you're using, can happen that sometimes it's like this, so you have to use some offset brackets. That's the only way to do it. Sometimes if you want to push too far, then anyone can have his own way of doing it.
The Olivina.
Olive veneer.
What was the question?
What's the product code for this?
Yeah.
This product code, the big one is the B145 and comes in 3 colors. You can follow me. I'll show you your range. We have a 6 profiles in the range. We have 146, the big reverse, 3 color, 145, 144, that is the medium one. It's 7 centimeters wide. Then we have the little sister, 143. And then the last one that we have also block that is 37 mil by 37 mil. It's a squarish one. Again, with this molding, they are amazing to stack. There are a lot of very nice stacking combination that you can do with this molding. I love to play with it. It takes just a little. Let me get a little. Just something very simple. Simple, no brainer.
Stefano, how would you suggest the framers price the Bellini molding in their framing software?
Well, this is a question that this is a point that I always discuss with any customer I see. Obviously, I think the point of the discussion here is to look at the overall profit of the job instead of using a flat mock-up on everything that you use, like the standard frames. I will just give an example. If the cost of a frame, to make a frame that you sell $300, it's let's say, for instance, just throwing in numbers there, it's $100 of components and you sell for $400. If you frame with Bellini and the cost of the components, instead of being $100, is $200, is double, don't sell the frame at $800. Sell the frame at $650. Overall, you're still making more for the same labor time that is involved in the process, but you are upselling. if you price everything, it's the same, a little bit the same as when our customer, they price the museum glass or a better glass. They never use the same mock-up that they use when they use the 2 mil float glass. It's a little bit of the same concept, because otherwise the price gap will be too far away. Technically, when we do a consultation with a customer, and obviously, generally speaking, the first thing that we pick is always the one that probably most of the time is the right one, the one that they want. And especially if we go immediately to Bellini, is what most of the time they fall in love with it. But then if we are too far with the price, they end up buying something cheaper, but in their mind, they are not 100% satisfied because they couldn't get what they want. So it's about sometimes it's also good to do a little bit of discount. That's a good strategy. Like if you make a price with a normal standard product and then you make a price for Bellini, what you can say, look, if you really like the Bellini, I'll give you X% of discount. So trying to make them a part of the selection process and make them a part of what you're doing. Involve them in the selection of the products.
And also, for our customers, will there be any new releases this year? Other new releases
For Bellini?
Across the Bellini Anton's range?
Oh, guys, between September and October, it's gonna be a tsunami of new releases. You will see what is happening in Anton. This was only Bellini. Obviously, the number of releases in Bellini is limited compared to what we're doing in Anton's, but in Anton's, we have a September release that's going to be released the 3rd of September. That we have 4 new ranges. And then we're going to have an October release that is another 5 ranges. And then we're going to have a release that probably is going to be across the end of the year and beginning of the new year. That is another beautiful range of stained timber in Anton's.
We've got another question here asking, what are the main trends you're seeing in framing?
That's a hard one. That's a hard one because there is not a real trend that can cover all the area. Depends depends much of the area, where is the customer located. Unfortunately, and thank God for the 2 things. It's we are in a market that the majority of the customer, they have a very, very plain and simple taste. So the Australian market is based on most of the time on square shapes, black, white, natural timber. It needs a little bit of work to get out of that trend. So you have to really be engaging with the customer and telling them what could be, why you're picking something different than that. You know, the trend. I can tell what is the trend all over the world. There is a lot of coming back to the gold finishing. It's coming back very strong overseas. In Australia, I haven't seen that yet, where we are but it's coming back very strong in Europe and in US. The gold, very, very pale gold, very like the 18 karat gold, shiny and pale. It's coming back. Lot of timber, but the natural timber trend is finishing. Now everyone is going to stained timber, and the trend is who's starting the trend, especially for the stained timber, are the people that is making the floorboards. Now they have some amazing color in the floorboards, and the customer sometimes there is a demand for having the molding that match those beautiful floorboards color. A lot of the shades of the grays, the shades of the military green. It's the natural timber look. It's like past in the rest of the world. Australia is still big, but I think here we will also see soon a lot of different options for stained timber in a more contemporary way, not traditional.
Well, on that note, that concludes all the questions for the webinar today. Would you like to say anything, any last words?
Well, thank you for attending the webinar, and I hope you will like the new Rosa range. Contact your account manager to discover the offer that we have on the framed pieces that you can use in your showroom to display the range. And thank you everyone for attending this webinar.